I want to talk about health and wearable technology. In this particular case, I'm going to talk about the Oura Ring, this small device with all the technology on it. I've also used wearable technology like the Apple Watch. It has a lot of the details on there. And I've also used a strap on my wrist, Whoop, W-H-O-O-P. Doesn't really matter which particular Garmin have various devices and things like that, but there's so much out there at the moment. But it's all about health and getting the feedback and the alerts in advance before you're going to be ill, or whether you need to rest and recover, or you're not training enough. Now in my 60s, my health and my longevity matters to me an awful lot. But whatever age you are, you need to look after it, because you may be an athlete in your own right. My particular forte these days is endurance cycling, which I just got into just a few weeks ago. And I'm going to be doing a 500-kilometer cycle over 5 days to raise money for the Inspiring Leadership Foundation and Help for Heroes, the two charities I care deeply about. So why wearable technology? Well, there was a phase I went through because I'm always interested to know what's going on in your body, what's happening at this time. So if I was to look at my collection of health apps that I've got here on my phone right now, you might be able to see there, but there's a collection. There's Oura, there's Cardiogram, which is looking at my heart, Oral-B, which is looking at brushing my teeth, Feel Fit, weighing my body and giving me some feedback on BMI and weight and body fat. Zero, which is an interesting one about blood sugar levels. Libra Link, which I'm wearing a what's the word I'm using for a continuous glucose monitor on my arm to tell me when my blood sugar's up and when it's down. Strava, which is a device when I'm cycling. I particularly like to know how far I've gone, what speeds I've gone, what's been my fastest speed. And Zoe, which looks at the microbiome, as well as the Apple Health app. But I'm going to click on to Oura. Now, Oura is looking at things like my activity goal for the day. I can record workouts on my bike, in the gym, running, whatever it might be. My heart rate throughout the day, I get to have a look at that. And then a summary of all the different activities, walking with the dogs. Been working in the garden a lot today for a couple of hours, which is almost as good as doing a HIIT training. In fact, it records it at the same intensity of that. Then my afternoon power nap, I'm a great believer in around about 1 till 3 o'clock, having a 40-minute in bed, of which about 32 minutes is sleep, of which some is deep sleep. And then it gives me 3 readings each day, which I keep an eye on. My readiness for the day, which is the particularly first thing in the day. It looks at how you've slept, what you did the day before, and what you're ready for in the day. So the readiness, it might just go, take it easy today. I'm giving you a 65% score. You've just been pushing it too hard the day before. Or it might be that you haven't trained the day before or just done some light training, and it goes, you've had a really good night's sleep. You're at an 85, 88%. Go for it. What's going to be the activity you're going to do today? Really, you can push your body quite hard. So that's very useful to know when you start the day, what is wise to look after your health and well-being, or where you might need to take it easier. Sleep is the fascinating one for me. Sleep is the bedrock of all athletes or business athletes. And in fact, I'm really talking to you as a business athlete. So what is it on the sleep score? And sleep, it's looking at a variety of things. So the time in bed, the total sleep that I had, the efficiency, how good the time was in bed, the lowest resting heart rate during the night. And then it looks at a variety of factors: total sleep, efficiency, restfulness, REM sleep, very important, rapid eye movements, when the brain is flushing itself out and sorting things out, and that's when much of your dreaming happens in the rapid eye movement state. Deep sleep is really important, and for some time I've been working hard on getting this back up, but with a combination of 2 things, CBD oil, which is now legal, and also, as I'm training in the endurance cycling for this big competition, I'm doing an awful lot of cardio, And I think the combination of the two, instead of having like 15 minutes of deep sleep, I'm sometimes getting an hour, up to an hour of deep sleep, sometimes an hour 23. Lee, my wife, she can have 2.5 hours of deep sleep. It's phenomenal what she can achieve. And REM sleep might be an hour and a half up to 2 hours. Latency, how quickly I go to sleep, the timing, when I went to bed, because with sleep, it's really important. It's consistency. Are you consistent night after night? For me, the ideal time is to go to sleep at about 10:30 and to wake up at 7:30. Now, at times we're staying up later, and that's not ideal. It does have an impact. And I also find now I'm rarely drinking, haven't for some time now, because I'm training for this endurance cycling event. When I take alcohol, it affects my heart rate, which is higher during the night, also makes me hotter, and because it records your temperature during the night, and also my heart rate variance, which you want to be as high as possible, drops a considerable amount. So it gives me the breakdown of, I'm not quite sure you can sort of see here, gives me a complete breakdown of when I'm awake, when I'm asleep, REM, light sleep, deep sleep. And then it looks at my average oxygen saturation, which is how well the body is absorbing oxygen into itself. And you want that to be certainly above 95%, 96, 7, 8 is always good. Breathing regularity, variation in blood oxygen. This tends to look at disturbances of sleep, sleep apnea, things like that. I get a small amount. I'm wearing a mandibular device now to help me with that. But it tells you with a number of occasions when your sleep has been disturbed because of variations in blood oxygen level. Looks at the heart rate throughout the night and what is the lowest recorded one. The lower, the better. And then the average heart rate variance, which is a sign of the health of your heart, its ability to the beat-to-beat variation in the heart, and to do that. And then activity. In my particular case, for today, it's 100. Because I've pushed it quite hard. I've done some hard training, and but just it could happen to be some really hard gardening, some hard mowing of the lawn. It can get you up there, and I've burnt 1,418 calories. The walking equivalent of 16.5 miles of what I've done today. So Oura Ring, it's just one of many devices, but the point is, it allows you to look at your own health and well-being, because your health is the bedrock of everything. I want my health span to match my lifespan, so that suddenly when I do go, I just want it to be very quickly over, because of just the fact that it's old age, and I hope it'll be many more years yet, but who knows? One of the things that I take a philosophy about, having lost so many people over my life, is that I want a good life and I want a good death, but I don't know when it's going to come for me. So I'm going to make sure I make the most of every day that I have. And that's why I want to help leaders like you to make the most of your life. So one other thing on wearable technology, I went on the Hoffman Institute 7-day program, and I've recently interviewed the managing director of the Hoffman Institute UK, Serena Gordon. It was probably of all the programs I've done, the most powerful course I've ever done, development course I've ever done. Part of that one was can't drink in advance of it, and certainly not over the 7 days of it, and exercise, things like that. All those kind of self-soothing activities that you do, drugs, drink, whatever it might be, none of that, because they want you to be present and dealing with the issues of your life and looking at your behavior today and how it's been impacted by your childhood and the patterns that you've copied from a love deficit from the primary carers that you had, and this idea of how can you make the most and be learning from it so that your behavior today is much more helpful. During that, they didn't want you to be distracted by work and emails. And so things like the Apple Watch, I had to go for the duration of that course. And in fact, I didn't have wearable technology. I took off all wearable technology, gave it up for about 4 or 5 months. And the interesting thing was, I didn't really miss it. So the paradox for me is that get a baseline and an understanding, such as Lee, for example, has been unwell for a couple of days. She knew that something was amiss because in the readiness score, it said in the morning, your temperature was up 1.7 degrees. Something is wrong, you're unwell. She sort of got a warning of it. The temperature was slowly going up. So if you perhaps got COVID, it'll give you a bit of an indication of that because of your temperature changes and things like that. And also your breathing regularity, how often you're breathing during the night. That gives you some good indications. So it's quite useful to benchmark yourself, understand yourself, but then not become obsessed by technology and measuring everything. Can you instead just be in tune with what's going on with your body? And do you know yourself well enough? But I do feel that if you firstly get used to wearable technology, it is really helpful to you, but don't become obsessed. And for someone like myself who gets sort of goal obsessed and can get quite intense on things, it's quite important not to get too attached to reading all the data all the time. So health, wearable technology, use it for a while. It will be very useful to know about whether you're ready for the day, what your sleep has been like, which is a real indicator of your performance during the day, and what kind of activity you've done, and when you need to rest, because it's very good at telling you, just give it a break. You have been, it scores you down if you're pushing it too hard day after day after day without rest. All of us need that rest and recovery. And I think back to Anna Hemmings, the Olympian, who I did one of the early podcasts with, fascinating lady, really enjoyed working with Anna. And she tells a very powerful story about, as she was training for the Olympics, she pushed it consistently too hard and just got to a point where she was just utterly exhausted. Couldn't get out of bed for days and days because she'd pushed it too hard. So don't push it too hard. You need your rest and your recovery. Good luck.